Is this thing on? Does anyone know? Max? What the hell?
Was a failure. Force the vote, sure, 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 was a failure.
Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. 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 Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
I'm petting the dog, folks.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
See this
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
This is incredible.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. 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 Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Well, first of all, I should say something about how we came to be here and why we're doing this, and then kind of what we had in mind. Originally, the idea had come up of me creating somebody else on this topic, and nothing ended up happening.
Everybody comes in, your grandmother.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.
Hello, users, and welcome to the goddamn. That's my attempt at doing an intro that actually is in existence. So I'm going to let you know now. I look like shit. I know, bear with me. I look like shit. But that's not important right now. What's important is I've got an ultra watermelon Monsty. That's what's important. What's also important is I'm going to take my medication live on stream. So check this out, folks. Wait, I'm going to double dip. Woo! Bada boom. But wait. Wow. Look at that. This is some real action, folks. So, yesterday, I already did yesterday's protest recap on yesterday's show because I did the show after the protest. And so I'm not going to do any recap today because after the show yesterday, I decided to, I decided to live my life. So let's just, put it that way. I ended up taking a nap for like 8 hours after some, consumption of something. And so, a little tired. I didn't get too much sleep the night before. So I didn't play Silent Hill 2 yesterday. But I will be playing Silent Hill 2 today. So, for those of you that are interested, that will happen. A recap segment on the nap. I had such incredible dreams. I can't even explain. My brain is in so many directions at the moment. It's very difficult to keep up. All right, folks. So we got a show here today. And by we, I mean me. And by me, I mean we, because I love the world. So Tim Pool has a message. It's of utmost importance. Is this thing on? All right, folks. So Tim Pool has a message, and he's going to tell us really how it is. He's going to tell us everything that we've kind of been experiencing over the last couple of years. I feel like this. I don't know if y'all feel like this, but I personally feel like we're all in a simulation right now. Like the world isn't real. Nothing makes sense anymore. And Tim Pool is going to tell us exactly why we're all thinking these things and how to save ourselves from fascism. Let's watch.
At boot of the authoritarian fascist government. And it will
Oh my
get
God,
worse.
I just saw this. Look at this. What is this? What is going on here? What the hell is this?
And it will happen to you because you keep complying. And you keep saying, but my kids need food! And now inflation is here, and there's food shortages, and your kids aren't eating. And the schools are indoctrinating your kids.
Folks, Tim Pool is making fun of people that have families. But I would like to share this piece of audio with you.
I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me. Mm-hmm. I think it's everybody else.
So, Tim Pool does not have a family. And so he doesn't obviously understand why feeding your kids would be so important.
Now we see a turnaround with Youngkin because the parents are standing up. But too many people keep saying, as long as I keep filleting the state and dropping on my knees for the far left extremists, I will squeak by, and you will not. The police will come to your home. They will kick your door in, and they will arrest you because the good cops have already started quitting. And like,
So for what though? Like, that's my question. Like, so they're gonna bust down your door and arrest you for what? What are they? Who's being arrested and why?
we saw in Seattle, the police arrested the man who was retreating from Antifa as Antifa approached him with clubs in hand. And they apologized to Antifa over it. Like we saw in the Chaz, when several men unloaded hundreds of rounds into an SUV, and then the extremists stripped the evidence from the vehicle, and none of those people are brought to justice. And now we are at the point where Project...
So let me get this straight, okay? So, cops are far-left extremists because they're bad at solving crime? Is that my understanding? Is that correct? So because they're bad at solving crime, that makes them far-left extremists. So, let's say that your house is burgled and you call the police. And they say, we'll let you know if we find anything. 7 months go by. They never let you know. That makes them far-left extremists. All right?
Veritas is having their private, privileged, legal communications leaked to the New York Times, who with a smile on their face violate all norms, all respect, and lack all scruples. And
so Project Veritas got hacked and leaked, and that proves that the far left has taken over the government?
And you think sitting back and complying will result in you getting by. You are wrong. I'm sick of this.
Preach.
I
What do you
love
do when...
I love that. I'm sick of this! And then he does, like, the fucking Ancient Aliens guy, like, hand gesture.
Are wrong. I'm sick of this.
Preach. Yeah, what do you do when the FBI is violating the Constitution? Because you can't call anyone at that point. There's no more authority to appeal to.
I
You have to
love
create
that,
your own.
like, in these guys' worlds, right? And that's the freeze frame I'm going to use for the rest of the video. In these guys' worlds, in the fantasy land, the world of Tim Pool, where you've got, like, a fucking samurai sword, like, within, striking distance, the FBI is a corrupt rogue organization. The government is not a corrupt rogue organization, and they haven't been for, I don't know, the entirety of their existence. No. It's actually, very recently, they just started, being controlled by George Soros or something. It's not like the FBI and the CIA, were, I don't know, for the last 70, 80 years, involving themselves in international warfare, trying to topple duly elected leaders of multiple countries, try to stop American left-wing insurgencies. It's not like the FBI and the CIA worked with the New York Police Department to assassinate Malcolm X or anything. It's not like they did that with Martin Luther King Jr. No. It has nothing to do with the fact that the FBI and the CIA and other government forces have been trying to pry into left-wing forces, like sending Black Panthers organizers to jail for 60 years. No. That's never happened, actually. The FBI and the CIA have always been the good guys. They've always been the good guys. And it's just recently, and I have no idea what they've done that made Tim Pool think that they're left-wing extremists now, but it's recently they did something, ? Maybe it's like they didn't do something. Maybe they should be killing more anti-fascists or something. I don't know. They killed Michael Ryanel pretty well, right? They did a good job on that. But it's like, okay, so they didn't do something or they did do something. And at some point, we're not sure where that is, they went from a far-right organization and terrorist group that assassinates left-wing people all across the world to left-wing tyranny and fascist. But Tim Pool is very upset. And he's trying a new angle. And so I appreciate that. It's some new content for me to enjoy. But yep, there you go. Hello, Fem1. How's it going? How's? And then also you. Ooh. Oh my god. This General Strike Summit bullshit, man. One of my buddies, question mark, on Twitter is doing like these thread compilations of the of this General Strike Summit. So I'm trying to find, like, there's a lot of really good content. But there's so many good segments I'm trying to find. There's so many good segments. Holy shit, they just keep coming. All right. Cringe comps. I mean, I you know, it's a cringe thread comp, right? All right. It's so hard to keep all of this together. I'm gonna definitely cover more of the General Strike Summit soon, but I want to give you all a little teaser about what we're working with here. All right, so there's some pretty good Twitter threads by @HighProgressive on Twitter of the General Strike Summit, which is a podcast. Now, again, I really want to start this off by telling you what I told you in December of 2020. So, internet podcasters, right, especially this new, like, left-wing kind of, like, semi-left, but also, like, olive branch to the right and far-right extremists kind of, like, podcast space, they do these events because they get to market themselves. They get to hype up the event. It's promo material. But the most important aspect of these events, right, as, you know, the quote-unquote events, the most important aspect of them is the past tense, right? So later on, they get to say, oh, remember when we did the Force the Vote town hall? They always come up with these names, by the way. Like, yeah, what was the Force the Vote town hall? It was a podcast with Jimmy Dore and Brianna Joy Gray. But they call it the Force the Vote town hall. It was a town hall. Did they accept audience questions? No. Unless, you know, you paid them money. Which, that's weird. A town hall, normally, no, it's COVID. Okay, so let's do an online town hall. That would mean you have questions. You have people come in and ask questions. That's not what they did at the Force the Vote. But they called it the Force the Vote town hall, folks. It was a town hall. And that's the same thing. And then, ever since then, they've been talking about it as if it was this great event that AOC boycotted or something. Oh, when we did the Force the Vote town hall, and they did, you know, all that kind of shit, right? So again, this is all just fluff for them. So I need you to understand, the General Strike Summit, a summit, the General Strike Summit. You know they're going to be talking about this for months and months and months. So let's go back a little bit. Because there was some really good drama with this General Strike Summit. The General Strike Summit wasn't originally supposed to happen. In fact, this guy right here at the bottom being covered up by this chat, he actually got banned from this podcast network for suggesting the General Strike Summit. Do we remember this? I made a video about it a couple months ago. He got banned, and the backlash was so severe that they brought him back and then started organizing with him. So, you know, that's, at least they admit to a mistake, right? But that's a really good origin story. But anyway, so High Progressive on Twitter has got a very good selection of clips here that are just like full on batshit insane. But I want to watch this one first because they're spending a lot of this podcast, this summit, talking about Hassan Piker. So let's watch.
More clout than they've ever gotten. But like, it's such a sad, if you're like a fan of any of these motherfuckers and you sat through one of these things, okay? You sat through one of these things and all they did was talk about crypto, talk about how much of a fucking class enemy I am, talk about Rachel Maddow, instead of literally talking about like labor organizing and having labor organizers and union leaders on their fucking broadcast.
So again, they've been planning this broadcast for 2 months. 2 months. You would think, especially given what's happened in Striketober, as we've been calling it, you would think that this would be less of just a podcast and more of, a general strike summit.
Where they're supposed to be talking about like launching something that could literally put you in jail. Okay? People in the past who have tried to execute general strikes have gone to jail, okay? The bourgeois, capitalist American government will not allow you to organize something like that. They will literally kill you. They will throw you in fucking jail. They will do everything they can to stop you. That's how you know they have no, like, this is nothing. This is not even anything.
So Hassan Piker is getting very upset at the General Strike Summit because, apparently they keep talking about it. So I will say, just because, right, that the FBI doesn't have you on a list and they're currently like going to your house to kill you doesn't mean you're not doing anything helpful. Okay, I want to be very clear on that. But, so I do think that criticism is a little bit of an overcorrection. That being said, imagine you're working on a general strike. That's a multi-year, probably multi-decade long project. You're going to have to take a lot of life commitment to get a general strike to happen, right? But the ways that you do that are not by attacking some of the most popular left-wing people online. That's just not how you do it, right? In order to create a general strike, you need to have a mass, broad coalition of people that may not agree with you, right? So when you come out the gate harassing and attacking literally everyone else on the planet, let's watch.
And that's not a mistake, because the people who pay enemies of the working class like Hassan, like
the people who pay. What people? Now that's my question, right? Because now you might not know this, right? But Hassan Piker and the Young Turks are actually mostly funded by viewers. Now, sometimes, and it's possible in this world, I've got experience, people get private donations, right? That kind of stuff. But most funding is from subscribers, paid memberships, merchandise, etc., right? So, and most people watching these programs are working class, are poor, are people that are left-wing. So when you say the people paying Hassan Piker, the Young Turks, really, to me, that just sounds like a George Soros-style conspiracy theory. But again, let's listen.
Class like Hassan, like the Young Turks, the people who pay them, because they are paid assassins of a working class movement.
So, okay. So, I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him before. But look about, Nick the Prick over here is, so giddy and happy that he's got, a viral moment. And then everyone else is just, so excited. I don't know what I did. I just clicked on a button. Okay. Everyone else is so excited. Oh, my God. George Soros is paying Hassan Piker. Thank you for saying it out loud. Right? I don't understand. What are they are the millions of people that subscribe to the Young Turks and Hassan Piker, are they enemies of the working class? Are they all FBI undercover agents that are sent to assassinate the working class? I ask you this. I sincerely ask you. Imagine trying to have a conversation in a bar about this. Hassan Piker is being paid by enemies of the working class to assassinate. Imagine, right? Going to a picket line and saying, hey, did you know the Young Turks is paid to assassinate? Imagine, right, going to, a labor meeting or a union meeting and then raising your hand up, right, and going, did you know that Hassan Piker is being paid? These people are terminally online. Like they are stuck in the world of the internet. 99.9% of people that are working class do not give a fuck about any of this. I'm just letting you all know.
They are paid assassins of a working class movement. And the people who pay them do not want us to come together. And that's not a mistake, because the people who pay.
So, okay, the end part is they don't want us to come together. What does that mean? Like, I sincerely don't know what that means. Like, this guy, like, it's bizarre. But, okay, so now, again, according to reports, Hassan Piker has been doing a lot of fundraising for strike funds, given all of the strikes going on in October and November, right? So, now again, he's got a big platform. He can leverage that platform to raise money to help striking workers so that they don't have to worry about feeding their families, so that they have food on the picket line, that kind of stuff. And that's good. But he also has a big platform, right? So if I were to do a strike fundraiser, and let's say I only got like $748, right? That's decent compared to the size of my platform, right? So I'm not saying that the dollar amount here is really the most important aspect, that, oh, if you can't raise $201,000, then you might as well. That's not what I'm saying here. But at least Hassan Piker is doing something. Like, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. But
you know, on the outside, these people that you first come in contact with, the Sam Cedars, the Hassan Pikers, the TYTs, the Kyle Kalinskis, the people that you first come in contact with before you start to dig a little bit, you realize that all that solidarity messaging that they be preaching is not followed up by action. And
So again, I don't know what this means. Like, I'm going to be honest, I have had one conversation with this Afeni person on Twitter. It was very stress-inducing and annoying. So I maybe, again, it's very possible that that clouds my judgment here. But I really honestly have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about. Right? When you go online and you watch left-wing podcasters, guess what? 99% of them are left-wing podcasters. Now, I, for example, am, you know, a lot of people tell me this, you know, many people are saying, right, that I'm one of the only people, and I, you know, so I will grant that some of these people have done in real life action, and that's great, and that should be encouraged, right? Hassan Piker raising $200,000 for a strike fund, that is real life action. That is action that exists, right? But again, that's like judging a movie star for just being a movie star. Or that's like going to like Wendy's and then saying, hey, why are you only working at Wendy's? Shouldn't you be doing other things? Like, again, these people, their job is to do podcasts, right? Now, if they have time for extracurricular activities, right, that's great. You know, like, for example, I like to do protesting. I like to highlight that kind of stuff in my off time when I'm not doing my show. That's great. But again, also, I just want to say the critique doesn't make any sense, right? Like, I don't, maybe you can call me a fangirl. It's possible. It's very possible. But I've watched the Majority Report for several years. And one of, like, literally every single day, they've got guests on their show that are labor organizers, union organizers, writers, striking workers. They literally, like, that's like one half of their show. Like, if you've spent any time watching the Majority Report, you would know that literally one half of their show is dedicated toward actually having real people on to, you know, provide links to places where people can support and follow certain strike actions. So I'm just saying, not only is the critique on itself just silly, but it's also just wrong.
I learned so much from these people, so much that I became an activist and an organizer myself. And then I come into this space as a black woman, as a black queer woman, and I realized, like, oh, wow, it's going to be a lot harder to organize because...
Does Unholy Rome have a, like, past broadcast of... I just noticed this. Is this, like, a different... Like, what is this in the background here? Is that, like, they have two streams going on at once? What's happening?
Y'all are... It literally seems like you are intentionally organizing against us. It seems like...
So, again, in Afeni's fantasy world, right, Sam Cedar, Hassan Piker, and the Young Turks are actually... secretly FBI agents, and they're all trying to work against labor organizing And by doing that, they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for strike funds. They have labor and union organizers on the show all the time to talk about where you can support and how you can support those strikes and all that stuff. That's secretly, they're actually paid by the FBI. What? Like, it's one thing you can say, Sam Cedar has a big platform, he should do more. I can say that too. I agree. If I had 1 million subscribers, bitch, let me tell you, and I'm not calling anyone a bitch, I'm just saying bitch generally. If I had 1 million YouTube subscribers, I'm telling you right now, right? I would not just be doing a podcast every day. I'm just saying, not every day, right? Because Sam Cedar only does it 4 days a week, right? That's literally the last thing I would do if I had 1 million subscribers. I would be doing so much more. So again, you can ask and demand and want people that are very, very high profile, maybe like Brianna Joy Gray, maybe she's on the same stream as you, but you know, you can want them to do more with their platform, and that's good. You can strive for that, right? I also agree with that. But to say because they're not doing more with their platform that they're secretly working against you is just bizarre. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's strange. It's actually very strange.
It literally seems like you are intentionally organizing against us. It seems like you're going out of your way, all the effort that you could be putting into supporting these social movements, all the effort that you could be putting into amplifying these things, amplifying these movements, amplifying the fact that DC has killed 9 black men this year. You don't see any of those podcasts talking about any of that stuff.
I just want to say, again, now I talk about police brutality on my show. This is a daily occurrence on my show, at least for the last, 8 months now. I have spent literally every single one of my shows talking about police brutality, but I know she's not talking about me, right? But I will say, I do subscribe to the Majority Report. I don't subscribe to Hassan Piker. I don't care about him too much. But I will tell you, I know from the Majority Report that they do cover police brutality all the time. So, you can say that they should cover it more, yeah. But to say that and that's the thing that's bizarre about this, is they're claiming, they're making such bizarre, fantastical claims that really make no sense at all. You can want them to do more, but then when they don't do more, you that's not, you don't say you're an enemy of the working class, you're being paid by the FBI, George Soros, this guy. It's again, this is not, you're not doing anything here, Afeni. Anything that you do offline is going to be 5,000% more effective than this, what you're doing right now, because this is a waste of fucking time. I'm telling you right now, this is the exact thing you are complaining about.
And before we didn't really see it, but we really don't see it now. And it's so frustrating because it's well, why are you cosplaying? And then shitting on us for calling you out. I'm an abolitionist. I believe in accountability. If I'm calling you out and I'm holding you accountable and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, hey, that shit's not right, it's because I believe in good faith at that point in time that I'm coming to somebody that believes the same things that I do, and we're holding each other accountable because at the end of the day, we're trying to get to the same place.
So this is another very bizarre dog whistle. Is holding people accountable. This is right up there with election integrity as far as dog whistles are concerned. Yeah, I'm holding people accountable. What? So harassing people online? That's holding them accountable. Saying that someone is being paid by the FBI and the CIA to have 1 million YouTube subscribers and only talk about striking workers 4 times a week and not 6 times a week, that's actually, me attacking you for that is holding you accountable. Right? I don't understand that. And again, I've had one interaction with Afeni, and she was also holding me accountable because I blocked everyone in the Fred Hampton leftist group on Twitter because they're all annoying and they're cringe, right? And so she got mad that I blocked her, and then she was spewing all this fucking stupid garbage about me. And then after I unblocked her and said, let's have a conversation about this, she said, no, I'm just holding you accountable. So, okay, you're yelling at me for blocking you preemptively because I knew you would be cringe. My previous prediction was correct. You were cringe. And then when I said, I apologize, do you want to have a conversation about this? It's no, I was just holding you accountable. What? Again, that's just personal beef for me. But again, it's just bizarre. But again, there's more. There's so much more. And that's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to go so far into depth here, but like, again, there's just so much more, and it's just incredible. Let's keep going.
Josh Davis brought up something. How about the workers that will get fired as a result of striking?
So this is another thing. This podcast network, right, literally advocates for their viewers, right? I've seen like Compton J, for example. I've seen them say this. I've seen Socialist MMA say this, right? So I don't know about all of them. I'm not going to paint them all with the same brush. Some people might be trying to act in good faith here. But I've seen some people say, oh, if you lose your job, just get another one later. Now, again, that sounds good on paper. That's easier said than done, right? So someone asks a question, how about the workers that will get fired as a result of strike? I will also say this. Requesting paid like sick leave on a day is not striking. Saying, hey, I'm letting you know 4 days ahead of time that I'm not going to be here on Wednesday so that you can find a replacement. Yeah, I'm going on strike. You know, it's just going to be 1 day. Oh, you're going to have my replacement lined up? All right, great. All right, I'll see you on Thursday. That's not a strike. But let's just watch.
So that's why I tell people everybody may not be able to strike, right? But there's other ways. But you can boycott. You can boycott consumerism. You can choose not to buy products from Amazon anymore, or at least for like a year. You can choose not to buy things from Walmart. Those are other ways you can get back. Black Friday. Keep your money in your pocket on Black Friday. It's one of the biggest consumer days in the world.
So I want to say this. I do agree with this entirely. I think people as a whole should absolutely disengage from consumerism. 1,000%. Now, I say this. Look at my bedroom, look at all the stupid shit I've got, right? No, so just keep that in mind. But again, I think consumerism as a mindset is highly dangerous, right? Buying food you don't need. Hey, I'm going to be honest. I'm letting y'all know. I went to the grocery store yesterday to pick up my prescription, and while I was there, I bought some candy. Why did I buy candy? Whatever, I was kind of drunk when I went there, so I was like, fuck it, why not? Let's live a little, right? But that was like the first time I bought candy in a while, right? But my point is, right, people engage in buying shit they don't need. So not only are they wasting their money, and they are spending their money that they could be spending on other things on nothing, but that nothing, that money is being sent to a corporation that probably sources its candy making from slavery, child slavery, like chocolate, for example, right? So I'm just saying, like, yes, we can all participate in consumerism every once in a while, but as a general rule, we should stop and try to limit our consumerism. We should stop buying things we don't need. We should stop reading circulars and advertising. Black Friday deals are really just a way to distract you so that you go like, oh, this thing that I had never thought I need, but it's like 80% off, let me buy it, right? Yeah, I do agree with that message, but that's not going to create a general strike. So,
but he said, do we have a safety net for them? We are the safety net. You are the safety net. We fall on each other in bad times all the time. We ask our neighbors for sugar.
So I just want to say, Unholy Rome is very obviously drunk in this, but I have no problem with that. Now, again, I saw him sipping in this clip up here, so I'm just saying, and he definitely he's definitely drunk. But now, again, I get drunk on stream all the time, so I'm not, I got really fucking wasted in my debate with Jackson Hinkle, right? So whatever. I'm not necessarily saying that being drunk is on stream is a bad thing. I actually, personally, I think it's pretty cool. That being said, right, is the Fred Hampton leftist network coming out and saying that if you lose your job, that we're like the podcast or the General Strike Summit are going to help supplement your income? Because if so, that's an incredible announcement, right? That's an incredible announcement. The General Strike Summit will actually use its donations and its fundraising to pay people that lose their jobs. Is that true? If anyone in the audience watching me right now has lost their job for any reason, I hit up the General Strike Summit. They got your back.
For coffee, for ketchup. Why can't we ask for other help? Why can't we help them? Why can't we, come on now. We always been each other's safety nets. Where was the safety nets when we really needed them? When people who can actually give it to them neglected them.
What?
We have been surviving.
What?
By our fucking fingertips on scraps for generations now. We have been our safety net.
What?
So whatever, look, money is whatever. We can trade money or whatever it is, but we can get back to some teaching each other how to grow their own food.
Okay, so now again, I do agree with the community garden. I do agree with that. Now again, I just want to be very clear. Unholy Rome, very obviously inebriated at this point. Now that's not necessarily a problem, but I'm just saying if you can't figure out what the fuck he's saying, you know, that's probably the reason. But what he's saying is if you lose your job, we, with the royal we, as in the human race, will help feed your children. Not we as in the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast Network. Not we as in the General Strike Summit. But we as in literally anyone else. Literally anyone else will do that. Right? So, but it's not me though. It's not me. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say you should grow vegetables. Now, I agree with that. I agree with that. People should grow their own food as much as they can. Vegetables, not too hard. You can grow certain kinds of mushrooms very easily that are very, very high edibility and health, right? I'm just saying, right? There's a lot of things that you can do in your spare time that don't take that much effort that can make it so that you need one less grocery store trip, or your grocery trips are like maybe 2 days less frequent or something. There's all kinds of things you can do, absolutely. But again, mentioning them in passing when someone's like, what if I lost my job from striking? Well, grow a vegetable. That's not a fix. That's like, again, if this is your like 10-year plan, we're going to teach everyone to grow their own vegetables and make their own food and feed themselves, and then we're going to all quit our jobs. Okay, if that's a 10-year plan, all right. But if someone loses their job because of your stupid strike idea, and then they can't pay for food, or how are they going to buy seeds? What if they don't have any land to grow on? Right? So it's just
a safety net. Maybe if you got some money, if you comfortable, you got a little money, maybe you can donate to an organization that's trying to buy up some land.
Yeah, JB said if you're good.
So if you have money, engage in personal acts of charity. Okay, that's good, but that's not going to cause a general strike.
With cars, you can fix people's cars for free as mutual aid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely going to help the workers go out there and strike.
What?
I think it also.
Again, I know. Maybe I'm spending too much time on this, but I blame High Progressive for making so many clips. Right? This is just like, let's just keep going.
Yeah, and to the point here, nope. When someone gets fired, they will need more than just money. Here's the thing, guys. Your job is not promised to you.
Right.
Regardless if you strike or not. I could go to work tomorrow, Monday, and I could get fired for whatever reason, because I live in an at-will employment state. They don't have to have a reason to let you go.
So they don't need a reason to fire you. So give them a reason. If they can fire you for no reason, they're going to be like 9 trillion times more likely to fire you for an actual reason. Right? Like, what? Right?
So that's something to keep in mind. I just want everybody to understand that. You could get fired tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't respond. That doesn't in any way engage with the question. But again, folks, I would definitely recommend following High Progressive on Twitter. They're doing some really good cringe comps. Maybe I'll do more of this tomorrow. But again, I've been telling y'all for months and months and months, right? In months and months and months, I've been telling y'all that there is a group of podcasters online that take the aesthetic of activism and kind of just like turn it into like a personal fundraising machine. And that's what this is. There was the Force the Vote Town Hall. There was the People's Party Convention. They're all podcasts. The General Strike Summit. It's a podcast. It's just a regular podcast that they did marketing for. That's it. There's nothing else to it. And whenever someone asks actual tangible questions, like what happens if we strike right now and get fired, they're just like, I don't know, grow a vegetable, fix someone else's car. You just got fired, we'll fix someone else's car. And then, well, you could have been fired for anything, so it's not like you lost to... Like, I'm sorry, man, but, like, this shit is cringe. Like, it's cringe. Like, I get it. You can criticize people in power. You can hold people accountable. Those are true things that are possible. But holding someone accountable is not like equivalent to blatant harassment and lying about them online for months and months and months. That's not how you hold someone accountable. You might feel good harassing people on the internet for months and months and months. That might make, you might get a little tingly when you press click tweet or whatever. That's fine. But you're not actually holding anyone to account, right? You're not actually doing anything. At the end of the day, what matters is when people change their perspectives. That's what matters, right? So if you can somehow, if you can somehow get Sam Cedar to have more union organizers on his show or something, then you're holding them accountable. You're making positive change in the direction that you like. That's good. But saying Sam Cedar's a shill, AOC is bad, that's not, no one's being held to account there. It's a little cringy. And again, now, if you want to go out there and mock people, just say you're mocking people. That's fine. I will mock Joe Biden all the time. I love mocking Joe Biden. Fuck that motherfucker. But I'm not going to go out there and put my fucking fingers up my asshole and say, oh yes, I'm holding Joe accountable. But he's not watching my show. No one watching my show is going to oh wow, I never thought about, Joe's being held to account. Again, it's just this main character syndrome. You think you're doing some grand things, and in reality, no one cares. You're not doing anything. No positive change is coming. All you're doing is personal catharsis. And personal catharsis can be good. I'm not saying you should abandon all forms of personal catharsis, but what I'm saying is you gotta, back up a little bit and re-engage with reality. Because again, I have been doing a lot of in-person activism for the last 7-8 months now, right? I've been doing daily demonstrations. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been doing a lot of organizing, right? I can tell you how many times on my fingers people mentioned Sam Cedar, Hassan Piker, and TYT. You want to know how many times? And in real life activism in my city, I'm going to tell you right now, one time I have ever heard anyone talk about the Young Turks Majority Report or whatever, right? One time. And it was in a discussion when I mentioned that I do a podcast. So I mentioned I do a podcast, and then someone else said, oh yeah, I watch the Young Turks. Is it like that? And I'm kind of, but not really, right? So I'm telling you right now, if you talk to people in these circumstances and you go, TYT is being funded by the FBI and the CIA is secretly funding Hassan Piker. If anyone knows what you're talking about, they're going to think you're stupid immediately because they probably just casually view them and have no idea what the hell you're talking. So if someone knows anything about what TYT or Hassan or whatever is, they're going to think you're stupid. But guess what? 99% chance they're not going to know what the fuck you're babbling about. And so that's why this whole thing is just a terminally online feedback cycle. Is they're talking into a mirror and they're amping themselves up and they're doing nothing. It's just personal catharsis. And again, for me, this is personal catharsis. I love making fun of people online. It's one of the things that I do the most. I make fun of politicians. I make fun of regular people. I make fun of all kinds of varieties of stupid people. I make fun of people that I like when they do something stupid, in my opinion. I have no problem with making fun of someone, but I'm not going to go up there and say, when I make fun of you and spend 7 months harassing you on the internet, that I am actually the good guy and I'm holding you to account. That's not... I'm not doing that. I'm making fun of someone for being stupid. At least I'm just being honest with you. These people, though, I mean, again, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. It's fucking fascinating. I think there's more. Should I do more, folks? Should I do more? All right, I'm gonna do more. I know, folks. I know. I just did a 30-minute segment on it, but. That was day 1. I got the day 2 thread here. So, let's live a little. Let's fucking live a little. All right, let's live a little. Not me. Send me your shit on a DM again if you already did. That way it's just bumped in the top, and I'll point it onto this. But High Progressive, again, on Twitter, follow them. They've been posting these really good threads. And so we're on day 2 of the General Strike Summit. This was yesterday, I believe. And they're still talking about Hassan Piker. So how do we How do we organize a general strike? By continuing to harass one of the most popular left-wing podcasters in the world. That's how you do it? That's how you organize a general strike? By getting someone who's extremely popular that millions and millions of people love and just harassing them? That's how you get a general... Let's watch.
What I'm going to say. Hassan, you clearly see that at one point, Afeni was a supporter of yours. So you and your little cult, the excuse you guys are making to shut down dialogue with another socialist is you don't want to give me clout. That's the deeply unserious logic of these Twitch streamers. They don't want to have conversation.
Again. Now, let's just be very honest. I'm going to be very clear, right? Socialist MMA and myself were going to organize a podcast at some point last year, right? We were lined up. We were going to do a show together, and then he never did a show with me. So imagine there's an alternate universe where I got really offended by that, and I spent literally every single day attacking him online for, not accepting my podcast invitation. That's basically what he's doing. Is, someone doesn't want me on their show, well, I guess I'm going to spend every single day harassing them. What? I mean, again, and he says that, he's criticizing Twitch culture as if it's deeply unserious, as if he's not literally talking into a monitor or a mirror, right? Again, the things you are criticizing are things that you do and actively engage in and are doing right now. That's why it's so weird. I'm not going to pretend like I'm holding people to account. I'm just a fucking stupid dipshit comedian doing a YouTube show, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm not going to pretend like I'm anything more than I am. But these people do, and that's why it's so funny to watch.
With the people they claim they fight for, because he's scared I might get a little followers out of it.
I'm telling you this right now. Hassan is not scared that you're going to gain followers. He is literally acknowledging that if you go on his platform, some people will follow you, and he doesn't care about you or like you enough to avoid talking to you because he doesn't want the bare minimum to happen. And also, it's just funny. It's really funny.
Okay, I have a solution for you, Hassan.
By the way, I did not need to say your name to get clout, sir.
Yes, I have a solution for you, Hassan. Invite Afeni on. And I'm not asking for a debate. I do not like debate me bro bullshit. Invite Afeni on and explain to her why having this conversation for 3 days is a bad idea. Explain to Afeni why her being in the streets every fucking day is her not doing enough for the movement. When you were saying that the people that organized the General Strike Summit, which Afeni is one of them, are just grifters and YouTubers. So I want you to invite Afeni on your show and tell her how she have not done enough.
So I'm going to be very clear again, and I want to use myself as an example, right? I do a lot of in real life organizing, but you know what I don't do? I don't leverage it for clout. I don't say, I'm a in the streets organizer. And then that way, when I do my YouTube show, I'm going to say that, yes, I am in the streets. Look at me. Oh, yes, I'm so great and wise and everything I say. No. I do in-person activism, and then I do a stupid YouTube show, right? These people, on the other hand, are like, I donated my time to a soup kitchen one time, therefore, I am the super activist and my podcast is of the utmost importance. It's great that you do in-person activism. That's great. But that is a completely separate conversation on what the Fred Hampton leftist YouTube network is and the General Strike Summit is. Those are two separate entities, right? My YouTube show is not linked inextricably to my in-person activism. They are two separate entities. Sometimes I will talk about it on my YouTube show. Very rarely I will talk about my YouTube show in person because no one gives a shit, and most of the people I organize with are seniors, so they don't even know what YouTube is for the most part, right? But very rarely will they cross paths in any capacity, and that's good. I don't want to get too murky with it, So, but again, it's just another way for them to get like badges and Pokemon or something. It's like, yep, I volunteered my time at a soup kitchen. I fixed my friend's car. I grew a potato out of the ground. And that's why my podcast is better than Hassan Piker. It's like, I what?
For the movement. The guy who played Nintendo all day in his mansion. I want you to invite Afeni on and explain to your audience how you do more than her.
This is like a Josh Hawley speech. Like, oh, Hassan Piker plays video games. Oh my God, canceled.
I would love to hear it. Once again, I don't need the clout. I don't need it. So, since you guys are so deeply unserious that that's your main concern, oh, God forbid people hear from a black left socialist. God forbid that happens. If you don't like me and you mad because I ratioed you.
Imagine, like, again, I'm going to be very clear. Imagine I ratioed you on Twitter, right? That's wow. Like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. Nick the Prick ratioed Hassan Piker on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever. Whoa. Whoa, folks. Damn.
Right? If you're mad because I did that, if you're mad because I exposed you multiple times, and you don't want...
Whoa! Nick the Prick, Socialist MMA, exposed Hassan Piker. Whoa, dude. Damn, that's crazy. Wow, I didn't know that. That changes my whole perspective.
Give me attention. Invite Aphenion, who clearly said she liked you at one point. She was a supporter. And if you are not willing to talk to her, that shows you are deeply unserious and you are an intellectual coward.
All right, so, Nick, I've ratioed you on Twitter. I've exposed you on Twitter. I'm exposing you right now. But we also used to be friends during the Bernie campaign on Twitter, right? So we used to DM, right? We used to hang on the Twitter DMs, right? So how about you invite me on your show? And if you don't, that means you're deeply unserious and you're exposed. Yeah, that's right. I'm holding you accountable right now. If you don't invite me on your show, you're exposed. Like what?
Sense, right?
That's absolutely.
In a general sense, right?
That's absolutely.
And what do you call a group of workers from different industries that is working together for a general with general demands for the general betterment of workers? Wonder what you call that?
Right. Well, I tell you what, there is a driving
in a general sense, right?
I don't understand what that clip even is, but it's just cringe. Oh God, we have Jimmy Dore on. Let's go.
You know, it's just like, hey, do you want to be oppressed by the Republican Party or you want to be oppressed by the Democratic Party? And that's really the difference. They're both your oppressors, and I think that's why they amp up so much. They want to talk about January 6th over and over, and it's because they want us to divide. They want us to hate our neighbor. That's why they're using COVID. And
folks, far-right neo-fascists who want to kill black people, gay people, trans people, right? Storming the Capitol to install a dictator as president who promised to do all of those things. That's actually not that bad when you compare it to AOC saying that immigrants' lives matter. Really, like, what's more divisive? What's more divisive? Saying that immigrants shouldn't be killed or storming the Capitol and trying to install a neo-Nazi as president? I think really acknowledging that immigrants exist, I think that's way more divisive. So I'm in agreement with Jimmy Dore here.
Mandates to get us to look at each other as Noam Chomsky said, these people are unvaccinated, want to kill us. And now we know just how crazy that is because study after study keeps showing that the vaccines don't stop you from transmitting the virus.
So again, I need to be very clear here. Okay, in fact, I'm going to make this a separate segment. Here because this one, it's good enough to be a separate segment. So Jimmy Dore on the General Strike Summit, right? This is the General Strike Summit. We're talking about the General Strike. We're organizing a General Strike. So what's the biggest thing in, like, when you think about how, like, making sure that people who lose their jobs can be taken care of, making sure they can feed their families, health insurance, right? When you think, how are we going to feed people? How are we going to make sure that people are not, that they're warm because it's getting into wintertime and they're going to be out strike? How are we going to make sure that we get a general strike tomorrow? Well, I know. Let's get Jimmy Dore on the show so that he can lie about vaccines. Let's watch.
Oh, just how crazy that is because study after study keeps showing that the vaccines don't stop you from transmitting the virus and they don't stop you from getting it.
That's untrue.
So this idea.
So again, the world is not binary. breaking news fact. The world is not binary. It's not the vaccine gives you 100% protection and you'll never get it, or the vaccine doesn't do anything. That's not the world we live in. The vaccine significantly reduces transmission and hospitalization and breakthrough infections, right? So let's get this straight. If you get infected and you are vaccinated, your body will fight the infection faster, and you will be transmissible and contagious less often than someone who's unvaccinated. So say you go to the grocery store, right? And let's say you're in the checkout line, and we know the checkout line sucks, right? Let's say the 3 people ahead of you don't have masks on, and let's say you slip your finger under that or scratch your something, and you get COVID for a little bit. You're vaccinated, right? Now let's say you go back in the car, right, and your brother's unvaccinated or something. You take your mask off because you don't really think about it, and then your brother gets COVID. Is that possible? Sure. Right, but let's assume, right, you kept your mask on in the car. Let's assume your brother who's unvaccinated is vaccinated. He's probably not even going to get anything, right? So again, it's all about harm reduction here, right? It's all about and again, it's not like it's like, oh, like 2% harm reduction. It's like 90 fucking percent harm reduction, okay? So again, the idea that the world is binary, either you get vaccinated and you're 100% protected, or you got vaccinated and it was a dud, man. This whole fantasy world is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. But again, this is how you organize a general strike summit. You get Jimmy Dore on to be an anti-vax moron.
That and by the way, we're also all going to get it. So if we're all going to get it, who do you give a shit who you get it from? It's never going away, ever.
What? Like, I'm sorry. Let me say that again. What? Like, and look, this stupid fucking loser is laughing. Oh, we're all gonna get corona. Oh, we're all gonna... What? Everyone's going to get a deadly disease, so let's encourage people not to be vaccinated so that when they get that deadly disease that they die easier. Right? Okay, let's assume in the fantasy world that COVID vaccines don't give you any protection from transmission. That's not real, but let's assume we're in that fantasy world. Is he also saying that breakthrough infections and hospitalizations are equally the same as well? Or so let's assume everyone gets it. Wouldn't it be better if everyone's vaccinated so no one dies, or people die less often? What? Right, and then these two stupid motherfuckers are like, hell yes, this is how we get a general strike.
Just like the other coronaviruses that are flus, that are seasonal, this also is never going away. And the adult people catch the flu twice every decade. And so if you live another 10 years, you're going to get coronavirus. So you should prepare for it. And we're not telling you.
Whoa. You should prepare for it. All right. I'm glad Jimmy said that. We should prepare to get the coronavirus. Now what? Think about it. What would be the best way to prepare for getting that coronavirus? Would it maybe be getting a vaccine? Maybe? Anyone?
But they have these mandates that make no scientific sense, and then they also split workers, and they make us. Let me tell you something. 200,000 people more would be alive right now if we had Medicare for all, and that's who we need to keep our eye on. The oligarchs who are denying us health care. But they want, and if you find yourself blaming a school bus driver or a nurse's aide or a teacher for this coronavirus pandemic and your economic destruction because of the lockdowns, then you've been propagandized, and you need to.
Now again, socialist MMA feels like he's discovered the whole universe. Like he's just woken up from a mushroom trip and realizes, hyperdimensions exist, right? Like look at him, like holy shit, bro. Again, I don't even understand what this guy is even saying. So it's impossible for individuals to do bad things because the system that we live under is bad. So a bus driver who has COVID coughing on students or whatever, or people, maybe it's just a public transport, right? Like coughing on people, just like that's actually not bad, because if we had Medicare for all, those people. What? Like I just really, But socialist MMA is like, whoa, whoa, this is big brain.
Blaming a school bus driver or a nurse's aide or a teacher for this coronavirus pandemic and your economic destruction because of the lockdowns.
So, okay, lockdown. Now, again, is he going to say, like, the system is bad when it comes to Medicare for all, but the system being bad when it comes to lockdowns is actually, no, it's just lockdowns are bad. Huh? Maybe if we did a actual lockdown and we had food delivery, pharmacy delivery, everyone's basic needs were met because people could just get things delivered, and the people that do delivery services were all severely taken care of when it comes to, vaccines, personal protective equipment, etc. Maybe they all do deliveries in separate areas, that kind of stuff. Right. That's actually not possible because lockdowns are economic disrupt. Like, this guy is literally pulling pages from right-wing talking points. Lockdowns are bad? What?
Then you've been propagandized, and you need to get your head out of your ass, because those are not your enemy. Your enemy are the people who are keeping you from a living wage, people who are locking you down and not paying your salary like the rest of the Western world did.
So is now Jimmy is in support of lockdowns in the other Western world? Okay.
But they want us to take our eye off the ball, which is the oligarchs. So I'm not going to take my eye off the oligarchs who are denying us everything right now. And it doesn't matter which party's in power. Keep your eye on the oligarchs because they control both parties. It's one party with two right wings.
Wow. I mean, like, I'm so confused by this shit. Like, I'm genuinely confused why you would bring an anti-vaxxer on the General Strike Summit to talk about how vaccines are actually bad for you and they don't do anything, right? Why would you allow that to happen, right? Right? And now, again, is it possible, right, that people individually can make bad decisions and also that oligarchs control the fucking economy? Are both of those things possible? Yes. Right, now, what should we focus on? You can make that, you want to only focus on oligarchs, whatever. Personally, I think that you're not doing a great job focusing on oligarchs if you're being an anti-vaxxer, right? Because that's like, oligarchs love that shit. The idea that there's anti-vaxxers fucking around, killing each other for fun, that's entertainment for the oligarchs. They're turning on TV, they got their popcorn, they're like, right? Like, they're having a great time watching this shit. Right? It's very possible that individuals can make bad decisions under capitalism, and it's also possible that capitalism is a bad system. Right? And so when individuals make bad decisions, like choosing not to get vaccinated because they listen to Jimmy Dore, it should be encouraged to try to point them in better directions so that they are less vulnerable and so that they are less likely to hurt other people. That is something that we should encourage. Jimmy Dore says no. If your cousin is racist, that's fine because the system is what made them racist or what. I don't understand this at all. I really don't. I don't understand this at all. Like, the lockdowns were not bad because they're lockdowns. The lockdowns were bad because we didn't have grocery delivery. We didn't have salary covering. We didn't have pharmaceutical delivery so that, people would be fine. Right? So that when we did have these lockdowns, they lasted for a week. Things weren't actually locked down because all the stores were still open except for restaurants or whatever. Right? It was just like, like the historical revisionism, I think, is just incredible. But anyway, I'm done talking about the General Strike Summit. I'll talk about more tomorrow because this is like some real good entertainment. But Lord have mercy, man. I love when they do these because it's just so fun. Like, that's my whole show, just making fun of Jimmy Dore and socialist MMA. That's the show. That's a good show. That's a good fucking show, man. Holy hell. Yeah, I'll do, not me. I'll do your clip tomorrow. Man, it looks, Jackson Hinkle was on. Oh, fuck me. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yo, tomorrow I'm gonna cover some more of these tomorrow, folks. Oh my god. This is great content for me. Your take that this is lore building is spot on. Oh, it's absolutely lore building. Because the general strike's not going to happen. And they did the general strike summit. So for the next 8 months, right? They're going to be talking about, oh, when we did the general strike summit and then it didn't work because, you know, Hassan Piker and TYT made fun of us. And then, so that's why the general strike didn't happen. It didn't happen because, you know, it's not like it didn't happen because we just didn't spend any time actually building centers of power or organizing or unionizing. It's no. It's because TYT and Hassan Piker, you know, made fun of us on their YouTube stream. And that's actually the reason why capitalism still exists. If Hassan Piker would have just come on my show, then capitalism would have been overthrown. That's literally their argument. I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Anyway, I love making fun of stupid people. That's one of my favorite things in the world. And so I will definitely be coming back to this tomorrow because I'm just scrolling down, and High Progressive on Twitter has a lot of clips. And then also some other people have sent me some clips as well that I should talk about. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. But, I gotta make fucking breakfast here, folks. I'm fucking hungry. So, I don't know what to tell you. Let me scroll through the bookmarks, see if there's something else I can cover. Let's talk about Biden's poll numbers. They're not good, folks. Joe Biden sucks. We're all going to die because Republicans are going to win in the midterms, and then they're going to win the presidency, and then I'm going to be legislated out of existence, and I will be fucking put in a concentration camp. So there's Biden's poll numbers episode. Thank you all for watching. Y'all have a good one. I will see you again tomorrow.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
They're not accountable
Force
to
the vote,
anyone.
sure, was a failure.
I get 10 to 12
Force the
million
vote,
views
sure,
a
was a
month,
failure.
and they won't come out and
Force
address
the
my
vote, sure, was
progressive
a failure.
audience. They won't come out and
Force
address
the vote,
Bree's
sure, was a
audience,
failure.
or Katie's audience,
Force
or
the vote,
Justin
sure, was a
Jackson,
failure.
or you.
Force
They
the
are
vote,
not
sure, was a
accountable
failure.
to us. They're
Force the vote,
accountable
sure,
to
was a
the
failure.
whoever the fuck themselves.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Force
As
the
Chris
vote, sure,
Hedges
was a
taught us
failure.
a long time ago.
Force
the
the
people
vote, sure, was a
attracted to
failure.
politics are the most
Force
mediocre
the vote, sure,
of
was a
people.
failure.
They're not your friends.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
They are elected
Force the vote,
servants.
sure, was a
It's not
failure.
fucking treating them that
Force
way.
the vote, sure, was a failure.
I hear Brownie is
Force the vote, sure, was a
seconding you in
failure.
the background.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
They're the people
Force the
standing
vote,
in
sure, was
between
a failure.
us and fucking
Force the
healthcare.
vote, sure, was a
They're putting
failure.
their fucking personal
Force the vote,
position
sure, was a
ahead
failure.
of that. Don't
Force the
fucking
vote,
forget
sure, was a
that.
failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote,
I'm
sure, was a
talking about
failure.
anybody who's a
Force
progressive
the
in
vote,
Congress
sure, was a
who
failure.
isn't endorsing hashtag
Force the vote, sure,
all
was a
those
failure.
motherfuckers who didn't
Force the
show up
vote, sure,
today
was a
at our
failure.
town hall.
Force
Every
the vote,
fucking
sure,
one
was a
of them
failure.
is selling you out
Force the vote,
and
sure, was a
canceling you
failure.
for their own
Force
personal
the vote,
gain.
sure, was a failure.
They're
Force the
not
vote, sure, was a
accountable to
failure.
anyone. I
Force
get
the vote,
10 to
sure, was
12
a
million
failure.
views a month, and
Force
they
the
won't
vote,
come
sure,
out and
was a
address
failure.
my progressive audience.
Force the
They
vote,
won't come
sure,
out and
was a
address
failure.
Bree's audience, or
Force the vote,
Katie's
sure,
audience,
was a
or
failure.
Justin Jackson,
Force
or
the vote,
you.
sure, was a
They
failure.
are not accountable to
Force
us.
the vote, sure, was a
They're
failure.
accountable to the whoever
Force
the
the vote,
fuck
sure, was a
themselves.
failure.
Let's not kid
Force the vote,
ourselves.
sure, was a
As
failure.
Chris Hedges taught us
Force
a
the
long
vote,
time
sure,
ago.
was a
The
failure.
people attracted
Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out.
of people.
We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote. Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out.
Seconding you in the background.
We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote. Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Force the vote, sure, was a failure.